Hello and welcome to NextOppSocial. We are your hosts, Richelle Wright, Jawan Buford, and Nina Payne. We believe entrepreneurship is empowerment and are committed to the development and progress of entrepreneurs, providing you with the information that you need to build thriving businesses. Today, we're very excited to welcome real estate professional Nicole Carter. So welcome, Nicole. We're excited to have you here at NextOppSocial. So let's dive in. Tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, and how you got started with entrepreneurship.
Yeah, sure. So, Nicole Carter, I'm a licensed realtor, soon to be broker here in the city of Detroit. I live in the city. I grew up in Waterford, Michigan. I went to Eastern Michigan. So I lived also in the Ann Arbor area. Mm-hmm. So I studied international business there, marketing in Spanish. So I've always, kind of done something with business and entrepreneurship, and moved to the city probably a year after I graduated. And I've always been connected though here. So I just part of the arts community here. I'm an African dancer, artist, fashion stylist, just doing my thing. Around the city, community involved, member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. So just doing, I love to talk literacy and things like that in the city, and of course the arts and culture. And I've always had an interest in real estate because I knew that growing up, like all of my parents' friends that were doing well, they had something to do with real estate. So I just always a lover of business, and okay, so someone could own that. Okay, so you guys own these houses and you own this building. Okay, great, you guys seem to be doing well. I like your house, like your yard. Okay, good. So it's like, as a child, you just kind of absorb these things, and then when you have to become an adult, you say, okay, so I just remember that, and that, and so you just kind of run in that direction, at least for me. So always just seeing what's next and observing and loving people and watching and just saying, hey, I want to be more like that, so I'm going to do this, or I'm going to look and see if this feels good to me. And that's just kind of how I operate, organically. If it feels good, then I run with it. If it excites me, then I'm going to take over and dominate. So I'm gonna really become a student, though. Honestly, I always want to be taught as a student. I never think I'm the master. So that's, to me, that's tantamount is calling yourself an entrepreneur. You learn all the things and then let some things go because it's not your wheelhouse, and you focus on the things you do great, and that has served me well. So that's kind of how I got started, paying attention as a child, and kind of curating that lifestyle through college and courses and talking to people.
How long have you been a real estate agent now?
So it's been 9 years. And I should be finished with my broker's license. I'll be finished in a few weeks here. Yeah.
So Nicole, one of the questions we oftentimes pose to entrepreneurs is, when did you fall in love with entrepreneurship, right? There's usually this transition where they're working in corporate America, or let's be transparent, sometimes they're on their knuckles and they're like, man, I got to do something. But I'm listening to you, and when I'm listening to you, it's like, it doesn't sound like there was any transition. It sounds like it's just been in the DNA, right? You grew up in it, you observed it, you saw it, you believed in it. It was just like how some prepare to go to school, make good grades, and go out and get a good job. Sounds like sounds like you've been preparing for entrepreneurship right from the get-go, right? And because I don't hear the anxiety, I don't hear the fear, right, when you were first starting out. And a lot of entrepreneurs, when they're first starting out, they have all kinds of anxiety, fear. They don't know exactly should they do it. They don't have examples or role models to pull from. But as I'm listening to you, I don't hear any of that.
I am not a fearful person, just period. Like I grew up, my father and mother they're off the chain. They made sure we were very well-rounded. They made sure that we were grounded, in, the Almighty, in nature, and, paying homage to your elders, your ancestors. We were raised in a village, you understand? So we're complex. We are sure-footed. And even when I don't know, I know, it's all going to be okay. So I don't operate out of fear. So I don't even know how to approach that, because I think that fear just comes from, lack of knowledge. So my mother was a sure scholar, and she made sure we were scholars. If we got in trouble or she was disappointed in something, it was like, go copy the dictionary, and it better be me. You're going to copy this section of the dictionary. You better write me an essay, and it better be me. You know what I mean? So my mom was a scholar. So it's like, intelligence breeds confidence, I believe, in whatever it is that you're doing. So that's where I come from. If I don't know
Intelligence breeds.
something and I want to know something, that I'm going to read everything I can. I am a bibliophile. My children are bibliophiles. Like today, a rainy day, we'll go to Barnes & Noble or a Source bookseller, and we'll just read a ton of books, So I think fear comes from lack of education or miseducation. So I don't operate that way.
I love it. I love it. So I'm also hearing that you have like multiple endeavors that you've been in, right? You have the real estate, you have the artistry, the fashion. I mean, I kind of like you having your glasses on. It was like a promo for who you are. It's kind of captured all, right? I know that's one of the first things that caught my attention when I guess for the first time we actually had a conversation. I was kind of watching your posture and how you carried yourself. And I was like, you know what? This is not a typical W-2 walking in through the door, right? It seemed like you were like very much aware of everyone around you and that you had this confidence about you. And that's what caught my attention, is why I decided to get up and go over and introduce myself. I know a question I receive from a lot of individuals is, how do you make 3 and 4 different businesses work, right? Particularly you being a creative. I get the feeling that sometimes feel like they're operating with 2 different brains, right? You got the entrepreneurial brain, then you got the creative brain. How do you balance it out?
That's the thing. Well, one thing I do is I always count at least 8 things that I'm thankful and grateful for. When I start to come through, okay, because as an entrepreneur, of course, you do all these things, and your brain is always working even before you open your eyes, even before you're really up, right? So, but I try to calm myself, quiet my mind, and just start with being thankful and grateful, because it can be overwhelming. But then if you say, hey, you know what, I'm thankful for the shelter, I'm thankful for waking up, I'm thankful for activity of my life, for my family, for love, for warmth, you just go back to the base of everything and you find the balance. And the next thing I'm doing is I'm going to probably start my as I get out the bed, it may not happen, so I'm over the hill, exactly, but I'm over the hill. And so, you stay fluid as best as you can, I think, and just always striving for balance. If I get too much on my to-do list, then, I break it down, just try to take it one moment at a time and focus on what it is that really needs to happen. I'm not perfect at it, and I do sometimes get overwhelmed, but I think balance is always the goal. And when you're overwhelmed or you think you're doing too much, just pull it back to central, which is for me, breathing and stretching and being thankful and grateful. So, you can do all the things. I think it's just important to figure out what is most important to you, and it may change. So I do think being agile and fluid throughout your day, throughout, whatever it is you're focused on is very important, but bringing it back to neutral. In the middle of the day, I'm overwhelmed. I got 900 meetings and calls. I just take 2 minutes. Everybody will be okay if I say, everybody calm down. I'm going to take 2 minutes. And I stretch and I bring it back to central. And I'm thankful and grateful for, and you can go on, So that's how I manage all the different things that I do, pretty much.
I like it. So something else that really impressed me about you is I also know that you're a parent, right? And so not only are you navigating this entrepreneurial journey and these multiple interests that you have, but you're also, of course, taking care of little ones, right? What I'm also hearing from you, though, you have a routine. Like, there's no way in the world you could manage all of that without some type of routine to kind of keep you focused, keep you centered. ensure that, you're not flying all over the place and neglecting the things that matter most to you. Do you mind sharing like some of those nuggets or tidbits, some of those routines that you have aside from, of course, the 2-minute rule that I'm hearing, and taking moments for gratitude? What are some of the other things that for entrepreneurs who are like, how do I manage this all? What are some of the strategies and tactics that you use?
So what I would say is just knowing, first of all, your mind, mind over matter for me is everything, no matter what. I would say just making sure you not make, you take the space for yourself. That's first in my mind, because your brain will go on autopilot, like I mentioned, to just start, hey, oh my God, I need to do this, that. Take the space for yourself. And if you need to, make lists. I make lists all the time. I have legal pads, notebooks, my notes on my phone. I make lists. And for me, seeing things crossed off, that really helps me. But I would say, again, waking up thankful and grateful, making my list, stretching, breathing. For me, the way I work is on Mondays, probably Sunday night, I make a huge email list of things that need to happen. And I send it to myself. And on Monday, I get my whiteboard out and I just write down all the clients I'm serving, or projects I'm working on, and what needs to happen that week for them to move forward or to close. And then what I do is every single day I have, God willing, if mommy life doesn't get too crazy, I have what I call a power hour. So every day, probably about 3 o'clock, 3 to 4, the day can get kind of crazy, especially Mondays, whatever. That's fine. But from 3 to 4 is I'm pulling it together. I say, hey, wait a minute, Monday, hold on, let me get you together. I turn my phone off on airplane mode. I turn on my house music. That's turned up. And then I have my to-do list, and I am just pumping out stuff on my to-do list. That's like every day. It's a power hour, 3 to 4. And then I also do the same thing with my week. So if things get off track in a week, which we know that they do, as an entrepreneur doing all the things, Wednesday is my favorite day, which is today, hump day. I love it. As you can see, I have on a winged eye. It goes down. I dress extra because it's going to happen. Whatever didn't happen, Monday and Tuesday might have been crazy. That's fine. Wednesday is going down. So Wednesday all day is usually glittery. I might be a little more jazzy, and everybody knows all day is house music or it's real hip hop, and that's it's happening. It's hard. Everything's going down because Wednesday, whatever didn't happen by Wednesday, you can pull it on the rails. You can go hard, and then by Thursday, Friday, before 2 o'clock, things start lining up and I like how it looks. I like how it feels. So that's what I do. I do power hours, and then I do a power day, and then hopefully, God willing, everything lines up for you on Friday, and you feel good going into the weekend.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
We're similar. I love house music. We've had that in common, as well as our thank you for the day, because I think it centers you. Once you start to get out of yourself and you can start to look at things totality wise, you can really see how blessed you are. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You really and you can kind of take some stock and inventory in that. So I've known you for years and you've been doing so many different things. Can you talk about what has been difficult for you? And not from a fear perspective, just learning how to be an entrepreneur, learn how to be an entrepreneur and a mom, learn how to, keep your creative juices flowing, right? Because you're a creator. What have been some of the difficult things that you've dealt with as an entrepreneur?
Oh my goodness. You know what? Sticking with it, I'll say. I would say for me it's easy, but for most people, I would say not listening to naysayers. My first one, let me back it up. My first foray into business kind of was like, I knew my mom. She worked at GM and tower, large office building. So I, kind of saw business happening or whatever. But I was a Girl Scout when we were kids. I have identical twins, Lauren Carter and a Girl Scout. And, you know, you got to sell those cookies. And I was just like, oh, okay, what's going on here? I knew I liked cookies. And I was like, oh, so they're going to give me money. Okay, they're giving me money. Okay, and then with that, I get to, oh, okay, do something I like. I like that. And then so I'm watching it. And then they're like, no, you got to come in front of the table. And you just, you know, you ask these people. And then I was like, oh, and there's a competition. I can win this if I have the most sales. And I just got to get people to buy it. Okay, got it. And I was like, okay, I'm going to win. And so competition, you know, was born, and I love the sales. And I was like, oh, I see my little sticker going up. I like that. So that was my first foray into like business and handling the inventory and all of that. So I got to say, Girl Scouts was it. And for me, you know, I saw that happen, and then it went from there. You know, my mom was always handling some business for this organization and that. So I'm sorry, I don't want to lose what your actual question was, but for me, that was kind of like the first thing that made me say, okay, I'm doing that. And then it's like, at 12, as I got to like 12, I started braiding hair, did that, you know, made my little money. Oh, this is cool. I like making money. Okay. Managing clients. And then probably around 16, 17, I worked for Contempo Casual, which is aging me. Okay. Yeah. Contempo Casual. I was Contempo Casual, so you know, and I was like top salesperson. And by the time I was turning 17, they were to make me a manager. And then people started asking me to dress them, you know, outside of that. You know, they want to pay me to do this and dress them for this. And so it kind of snowballed. And that's when I was like, oh, I could do this on the side. My mom was like, yeah, just, you know, you charge people a fee, and, you know, if they want you to dress them or whatever, just do it and just have clients. So, okay. So I did that. And, you know, it kind of just went from there. But people would say, hey, I remember looking at going to Ebony Fashion Fairs, right? And then I remember always my grandmother, who was the most stylish woman you ever met. I call her the original diva, right? She always said, respect the public. And she did. Pearls and diamonds, creases, and her pants, everything. And she said, you know, you got to respect the public. And she said, you know, you could do this as a living. My grandmother was really into like high-end fashion, things like that. Her home was beautiful. And I said, oh. She said, there's some people who tell you can't do it. But she was like, here, look at this Essence magazine. Look at this, you know, Ebony magazine. And she's like, see, this is somebody's job. They tell these people what to wear. And I said, oh. She's like, people won't understand it. She's like, it really is art at a high level. And she said, so don't listen to people, because obviously people can do it. So for me, it's like, don't listen to people who don't know anything about what it is you're trying to do, and just focus on your focus, you know. So I would say those are the things, you know. I'm always telling people I'm my only competition. You know, I'm not in competition with this person or that person. I'm hoping to support and help elevate them, because I believe the universe is plentiful. So for me, it's like, listen to your heart, don't listen to other people. If they say it can't be done, don't be scared to be a creator. You know, that's who we really are. You know, you represent, you know, God here on earth, you know, so create, manifest, innovate. And when you decide to do something, go hard and be a finisher. That's my father. He's always like, just finish what you start. If it takes you all day, you're still going to finish it. So that really is a part of my DNA of who I am.
So follow-up questions, because it sounds like in what has been difficult for you to be an entrepreneur, that things just kind of come to you. Like you just kind of attract, you know, opportunity, and you take advantage if it comes to you, if you want to do it, if you know, is that kind of more accurate? Things just kind of come to you, and you then approach it in a way and turn it into money. And you know, has it been like that for you?
Somewhat, but I'll say in real estate, you know, real estate, I was working in fashion. I was working at Nordstrom as a executive style consultant, and there was a woman who, I'm always aligning myself with like the top, right? So there was a woman who, her name was Sharon. She was an older woman, and she was the $1 million salesperson or stylist there. And she was always busy. People were like, oh, you can't really talk to her. You know, she's really busy all the time. I was like, please. It's like, she's a person. I'm just go over there and say, hey, can I buy you a coffee? She's like, oh, I really don't have time. I said, no problem. I'll go get it. I'll bring it to you. So I brought her a coffee and she's running alongside her. I said, hey, how are you doing this? Like, what are you doing? I'm talking to her. And she was like, yeah, so I just, it's my network. Great. And my husband, he's a real estate broker. I said, oh, interesting. I've always been interested in real estate. I said, well, I just graduated, from Eastern and international business. I've always had an interest. She was like, well, I do real estate too. She was like, the checks, I don't do it often, but the checks are small when I do get them. I said, now that is interesting to me. She said, so I'll have you meet with our broker and, his partner. I said, wonderful. So I did. And that's kind of how I got into real estate. She was like, yeah, the commission's okay here. She's like, but, you have a family, you can't really, I think you need to do more and you make more. And I said, okay. And that's how I got into it. But it was kind of organic. Now I'll say this. A lot of people say I'm going to get into real estate. What I did discover is, yeah, you can take the class. Yeah, you can take the exam. But what they don't tell you is that if you don't have a trust fund and, your daddy's golden Rolodex of clients, it is gritty, grimy, and you will be bleeding out financially before you make your first sale. There are all these fees and all these associations, and you don't know what the hell you're doing. And you have a broker a lot of times in the big firm. I think some people have got it right, so I'm not going to say in totality, but a lot of the times you get with a broker and then you're sitting there like, I thought they were going to give me leads. Not generally the case, even though that's what people promote. So what you got to do is you got to be able to sustain yourself, your license, have some other income before you can just go full throttle. And a lot of people are like, oh, I'm going to get in and make all this money. I'm like, okay, that sounds great, but to actuate that is a little more intense than you're thinking. So it took me.
Agreed.
Yeah, it really took me about, I'd say, 3 years to make my first deal. I didn't make it a traditional way. I made it being a student of real estate because there's so many niches you could get into that people also get discombobulated by being all over the place in real estate because you don't know what it is you want to do. So you have to study anything that you're going to do, any entrepreneurial journey, you're going to study it intensely. And so I actually did a non-traditional deal, my very first deal. It was what they call a wholesale deal. And so I did that. I said, oh, wow, I think I made like $3,000. So that's wonderful. Okay, $3,000. And I said, okay, so now what? So you go back to your broker and they're like, okay, great. Give me 40% of that. You said, wait a minute, hold on. I just did that. So what am I giving you 40% for? So, it was very interesting. And I just I want to go on record as saying people need to understand that it's a work up to, it's a journey. It is not something you just dive into and you're automatically making money. So it's been gritty. It has been rough a lot of the time, and I did not make any money for a long time. But the turning point was that I just stuck with it. And I'll tell you, it got hard. It was hard, but I knew that I wanted to make it happen because it's something I could see building long-term wealth and a legacy with, which is why I'm here. My children are everything. Everything I do is to build a legacy for those 2 girls so that they can see that mommy pulled it up by her bootstraps, and I thugged it out through the tears. I might have one thug tear. It was so hard, difficult, but I made it. I kept going and I made it happen. But I had the war paint, right? I did my lipstick on, whatever. I really, really rough and hard and bad. And I had some really hard, gritty, gully times. I just get that lipstick on and you twirl up out of here. And you say, you know what, today's the day I'm gonna get one step closer to where it is I want to be. And you got to be okay with that, So I think that's the thing about being an entrepreneur. You got to figure it out. It's not always so nice and neat and cute, but you got to say, this is what I'm doing, and come hell or high water, I'm gonna make it happen. And for me, it was like my babies were going to see the come up. That's it. And I knew it was going down. So I attribute that to my athletic mind, you know, athletic mind and body. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
I appreciate you sharing that, because like I think, you know, especially with real estate and people getting into real estate, you just shared like common misconceptions that people who just absolutely wouldn't, you know off the bat. They think, yep, I just got to take this test, I got to do this, pay this fee, and call it a day, and then I'm going to be rolling and all this money, all these clients, I'll be busy, it'll be great, all this flexibility in my life, all this downtime, right? I can work what I want. But you've also, you've had other ventures. I love that you shared also, even from an early age, all these different entrepreneurial journeys you've already had. What are some of the other things that you see other entrepreneurs do, like mistakes or misunderstandings that you see a lot of people who are, venturing into working for themselves, that they often make, or they're just that you find yourself maybe even, telling people from time to time of like, you got to know this, right? You got to make sure you understand this as well.
For me, I would say one is trying to do everything, and of course, you want to minimize expenses at first, and you want to. It is hard, to do all the things, but it is important to understand all the things that need to happen. But then once you understand it, and you understand that something's out of your purview, right? It's important to find those people who can help you and delegate and be okay with that, because it's hard, when you have the mindset of an ambitious go-getter entrepreneur, you're like, I need to do it. It has to be like this. And you have to be okay with learning how to let go, because it may not be organic. Like for me, it's not. But you have to learn how to do that in order to save yourself, right? Because you could very well sink the ship trying to drive all the gears. So, learning how to do that is very important, I think. Another thing, and I'm still struggling, is like you were saying, Juwan, balance. I'm still struggling with balance. I'll tell you that. I work all the time, 28 hours a day, 8 days a week I work, and I just, for the first time in 15 years, took a vacation. Like Mother's Day, I'm working, it's what I do. And I think it's important to get to the point where you can say, I need to be off by this time, or I need to take this time and rejuvenate, because you can't keep going, and filling up other vessels from something that's empty. So I think I would say those are tantamount, really. And then also I'd say getting a real understanding of finance, because you can talk all day, you can have all the pizzazz, but if you don't have foundation and structure in terms of planning, and that's holistically, I'm talking about business planning, and that's short-term, long-term, all of these things, I really think that you're setting yourself up for a disservice, and you're going to crash. So I would say planning. Do your business plan, cash it out, get your finances in order. If you don't understand them, understand it. Become a student, which is, I knew some things, but you definitely always have something to learn there. So planning, understanding it, and managing it, or finding someone to manage it, and still being a manager of that thing. Like don't give something to someone and then never, revisit, because that's a surefire way to crash as well. You hear all the time, like artists and things like this, they're financially ruined because they never followed up or signed those checks and things like that. So I think those are very important things to do. And then the last thing I'll say, right on that, is networking. The network is everything. I heard someone say your network determines your net worth. So you gotta constantly be networking, and it can be fun, it can be fluid, you can do it organically, but it's just something you cannot stop doing, and find something that separates you from everyone else.
I love it. So
I'm just going to share a real nugget real quick, and Joanna, you have other questions. The idea of balance, Nicole, like my balance thought is it's a myth in that you're trying to get this equal, playing field of life and family and holidays and vacation and yoga and exercise and all these things. It's a myth. I will take that pressure off yourself. Do what's best for you. Take the time that you need to do whatever you need to do for your family. Because when you focus on your girls, you focus on your girls.
Yeah,
that's the balance. When you focus on work, you focus on work. There's never an equal playing field of all things. I hate when they say you got to find this work-life balance. It doesn't exist. That's my soapbox.
Yes, I appreciate that. That's dope. Yeah, and that's the truth. It is absolutely the truth.
And we pressure ourselves trying to get there, but it doesn't exist. And then we get mad we don't have balance. Like, dude.
Yeah. I just had to
balance for you. Yeah. Find it for yourself. It's fine.
Just this year, I just decided, I'm doing the best I can.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah. That's it. That's enough. That's enough.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, Juwan. Continue.
No worries. No worries. I mean, you read my mind. I'm listening to all these gurus talking about balance, and I tell people, beware the W-2s politicking as 1099s.
Say that.
Beware.
Say that.
Because what Nicole is just speaking of is truly the entrepreneurial life. I mean, until you grow from a team of me to a team of we, this is the deal. This is the price, right?
Right.
So I love the grit. Now, a question I have is, look, you're spending a lot of energy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's intense. Particularly when you told me you were doing real estate and some of these other things going on. I was like, okay. What are the wells that you're pulling from? Are there books that you read? Are there certain authors or even certain voices out there in the social media world, or just period, that you're drawing energy, insight, guidance, advice, even motivation? I know you're a very self-inspired person. I don't think you can be successful in entrepreneurship seeking that from the outside. You got to have it inside. But what are the things that you're pulling from to keep you going?
I literally draw from it within, and I'm very connected to spirit, to the ancestors, and I'm just an individually motivated person. I know I'm not like the curator of my life, right? So I'll say this: 10 years ago, it was like a crash and burn scenario for me, and I'm very vocal about that. From nothing, like a negative place, like literally, had to pull myself up, and that's my motivation. Like, what am I looking at here? Like, how do I want my life to look? And I gotta just every day, I gotta get up and do something, like curate it, right? You make it look more like you want it to look like. If it, even when I had nothing, I pulled and knew that I had something to give. I started volunteering. You know what? I read really well, really well. This is not, you always have something to give. You have somewhere to be going with whatever your gifts are. Again, thankful and grateful, because I knew I literally had nothing. It was wild, and I was like, but I can read. I speak languages. I'm dope. You know what I mean? I got something to give. I started volunteering my time because that's what I had. I still have resources. The universe, again, is very plentiful. All you have to do is call things into existence. I said, you know what? This is the car I want. I had no money. Credit, no, and I was just like, I'm gonna call this number anyway, because that is the very car that I always wanted. I called the number, met the guy, and I figured it out. I got the car the next week. No money, no job. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was like, this is happening. Then the next week I made myself have a job. Right? You know what I'm saying? I just make it happen. I draw from myself. I draw from the fact that nothing can beat me. I am badass. I am dope. I'm here to show my kids. I'm gonna show my kids what it is out here. If you want something, you go get it and you make it happen. And you make life look exactly how you wanted it. Not a little bit like it, not be satisfied with it being closer. You just go get it. It may not be easy, but you can be very satisfied knowing that you made it happen. And I think that's the illest thing I could say right now. I mean, who doesn't love that? I mean, I if you don't like it, I don't have room for you. You know what I mean? Like, that's it. I don't have a secret potion motion book. None of that. Like, I don't have time. You know, I love to read, but honestly, I don't have time. I don't even watch TV. I can't tell you what's on TV. I pay for all the subscriptions. I see it coming out my account with kids, right? Everything is a push button. I was like, oh, so Disney Plus, Hulu, what are you watching? So I don't watch TV. I don't have time for podcasts. I don't have time for, I'm grinding, I'm working, I'm making it look more like I want it to. That's me. I'm not going to have it. I was like this, you know what, life, I'm not going to have this out of you. I'm going to make you acquiesce to what I want. And that's where I'm at. I'm just Amazon warrior woman. I mean, really, I'm a soldier, I'm a warrior, and that's it. Sometimes I do take a soldier knee. Now, you might find me at the Woodhouse wrapped up in a cocoon of, you know, a body scrub or something like that. And that's few and far between. But other than that, I'm out here.
Out here. So do you travel, or your groups that you're with, like your girlfriends, are you hanging out with other business owners? Like, how do you like keep yourself, what's your tribe look like?
My tribe is tight. They are thorough. It's goddesses up in there. There are some entrepreneurs. You know, really, the last couple of years I've been grind central, but like I said, recently I just went to St. Thomas. That was dope. I went with my line sisters, and that was fabulous. I'm like, why don't I do this more? That, like I said, that was my first trip in like 15 years. So
Okay,
no,
yeah, you got to do more of that.
Ridiculous.
Yeah.
Isn't that ridiculous? So ridiculous. But again, no, I was coming from, you know, having nothing. So I had some work to do, and that was fine. And that was fine. But now we're here, right? And so we will put some more trips on the radar because it was good for the soul. But again, my tribe also consists of my girls, Amina and Phoenix. Amina just turned 13 last week.
I was like, God, how old are they now?
Yeah, she just said, you remember the little baby? Yeah.
Yeah.
Tied on my back. I'm very African centered. I wear my baby. Sorry about that. I wear my baby on my back all over Brooklyn, you know, all over Detroit, both of them. And Amina's 13, Phoenix is 8, going on 9, but really going on 17. You know, she's wild. And so her name is Phoenix, appropriately so, because we rise from the ashes, you know.
So you said something, Brooklyn, Detroit. Tell us about kind of how Detroit has shaped you, like the things you've learned from being here in the city and the types of things that are beneficial for those who don't know about Detroit. Like, talk about Detroit and how it's helped you to be where you are.
I mean, if you don't know about Detroit, you better ask somebody. You're gonna find out today. Detroit is all of that. Like, I don't know what people are talking about. So, you know, the thing about Detroit is that, and I had this conversation. I have a friend of mine, very well known around the world. She said to me, she's like, you know, Oshun. They call me Oshun, which is the goddess of love and adornment and sensuality and beauty from the Yoruba culture from Nigeria. She goes, you know, Oshun, Detroit is built on salt mines and border seas. You know, there's lots of border seas here. You know, the pool, the magnetic centrifugal pool in the water. And so it's very powerful here. She's from Texas, right? And so she's like, it's very powerful here. I'm like, yeah, it is. I know that. And you feel that in the energy of the people, right? It is even, you know, even like slavery times were different here in Detroit. There's this book by the sister, Tia Miles, called The Dawn of Detroit. Like, you read about it, you know, it's a different vibe here the whole entire time, you know. And so the people here are so cultured and refined. And when you talk to people and they come here, one is you got to look at the art and the architecture, right? So we'll keep it real estate. You look at even just the architecture, you know, it just gives a different vibe, and it's so amazing. You can't go anywhere and see this type of architecture like so fluidly built, even, you know, residentially, commercially, you know. And so with one client of mine, an investor from LA, he was like, you know, I always loved Detroit. He was like, I came when I was a child, and he said it was the only place that he could recall where he would see all these Black people
Mhm.
So just living beautifully in these gorgeous homes with all these furs, and they own hotels and restaurants and all these banks and businesses. And he was like, it was just like, wait, what's going on in the world? He was like, black people live like this, So it's just a long storyline, the black architects and so many people doing it to death, in the D. And then you also got the people who I call Detroit classics, like the Ziams, who when I was in New York, they're like, oh, you got to go to the Village. I was like, is this what everybody's talking about? I'm like, Ziam Penn is the Village, okay? Like everybody's trying to be like Ziam, okay? Have you seen them? Like, and I was just like, this is not special, okay? Detroit is special. So it's a special place in my heart. I could talk to a brother who owns a bank. I could talk to a brother who owns any type of car dealership, whatever. And then you can talk to the people who do the beautiful graffiti art. Those people. You know what I mean? So it's dynamic, it's diverse, it's amazing, it's inspiring, it's spiritual. You go down to the riverfront, you might see an elder calling the ancestors. You go and you do a Dasi. A Dasi is the African-centered meetup we do once a year. Everybody dressed in all white to honor your ancestors, and you make offerings into the river. It's the culture is bang. You do a drum circle. I call it 12 drummers right now. Meet me in the park, and I'm gonna run an African dance class on you. But then at the same time, I put on my suit and I'm gonna be in the Coleman Young. So it's like, what do you want, world? Detroit is it. You need to get you some, come and see what's going on, feel the energy. And it's hardworking. Everybody here works hard. They grind hard. They make it happen. I don't care if they're selling waters on the side of the street. You got the FOI, Nation of Islam, you go get some fruit, they got bean pies, whatever. You go, you see it, you live it, enjoy the city, be a part of the city, you give back to the city, because you only get what you give, to be honest with you. So, and Detroit really does operate on that. Last story, and I'm gonna be quiet about Detroit. I met with some developers out of the East Coast, and they were like, yeah, we want to do these container homes, and buy some real estate. So I'd take them on the east side, and we're looking, I'm driving around. I'm always, I'm the stylish realtor. I'm always like, whatever, popping, whatever I'm doing today, might be in some wedges, heels, whatever. So I get out the car and keep my Pumas on the front seat. So I change it to my Pumas, and I go in an abandoned building. I was like, I just want to let you guys know I got my heater right here. And I'm just going to kick in this door and just make sure nobody's there. They're like, what? As I get my listen, it's like, it's okay, it's fine. As I go in, there is someone in the abandoned building. And I was like, oh, hey, brother, how you doing? Did you eat today? You okay? Yeah, it's okay. Well, look, I don't want to bother you. I just want to come through here and take a look. You gonna be okay? It's like, oh yeah, it's fine. They're looking at me, and I'm like, you just treat people like people. You know what I'm saying? Do you need some lunch? Whatever, what's going on? I'm just gonna be 2 seconds, okay? And they were just looking, and I was like, yeah, it's called a community. I'm not scared of anybody or to go anywhere because it's my city, and I talk to people like I want them to talk to me. They're not outliers or whatever. But Detroit is a real people connected community type of city. And I think if you draw on that and you be kind, you be a person, you be human, you're gonna be fine. You're gonna be fine. So that's all I'm gonna say on that.
Love it.
Tough life, you don't know me.
She got her heat and her heels. That's
Okay,
a whole
wait.
other conversation.
Hold on, we're fine. Yeah.
So as we get towards the end here, we have a couple questions we always ask our guests to when we get to wrap up on a high note, and we're already on a high note because that was a great promo for Detroit. They should take it as a commercial. What would, and I know you said before that you don't have the secret sauce and you don't know that it's your hustle, but if you could choose a superpower for yourself, what would that be? What is your superpower?
Superpower, I would say emitting kindness And I want everyone to be kind.
Mhm.
If I could just, I think I do okay with that. I know how to make people smile, but if I could make it more powerful and get it further and make everyone really ignite that and distribute that, that would be really dope.
That'd be great.
I love that.
And if you could, I know it's hard to do this, but sum up one very important lesson that you'd want to leave our listening audience who are entrepreneurs, if you want to leave them with one lesson that you, if it's the very least that they take away from everything you had to say today, what would that be?
It would be your own competition.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, you spoke so much about that, of like pulling from that from within, and that should drive you more than trying to compete with the people around you, and using the people around you to lift you up to keep competing with yourself.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Mhm.
What they say, live your best life. I mean, like, really do that, and it's personal.
Mm-hmm. Perfect.
Yeah.
So Nicole, how can people learn more about you or reach out to you? What's the best way to get in contact with you?
I mean, I love texting. You can call me, 248-251-2800. That is my cell. But you can also email me. I have a website, NicoleAcarter.com. That's going to be launching soon. There's the splash page up. I am at the Stylish Realtor on Instagram. It's not really popping right now, I got to tell you, but I'm working on it.
But you're there.
But yeah, you could definitely message me. You could DM me I'm going to hit you back. I am on Facebook. Again, I'm not really a dime with social media because I'm busy, but I have someone working on it. But you can definitely get in touch with me through messengers or cell phone. Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you again, Nicole. We appreciate you taking the time with us today and joining us. And we will make sure to put those links that she mentioned here in the show notes below so that you can reach out and connect with her. And we will definitely continue the conversation inside the NextOppSocial After Show group on Facebook, which we welcome everyone to join us there. The link is also in the description. Or you can head to Facebook, go to NextOppSocial page, click community, and we're happy to see you inside. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button here on YouTube or visit our website, NextOppSocial. And we look forward to helping you achieve a life of satisfaction and success. Thank you again, Nicole. We really appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you, Nicole. So good to see you.
Thank you so much. You too. I got to get to my genius appointment.